Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. So first of all, I broke my camera, so I'm filming on my iPhone today, so the quality may look a little bit different, but a lot of you were interested in my new batching system, how I kind of batch my candles more efficiently. I kind of posted about it on Instagram stories a little bit, and some people had questions about how I do it, what's the process. So I'm going to be walking you through all of that today. So if you guys don't know, I have two steps when it comes to making my candles. I don't just pour it once. I've got to pour it and then do the whole topping decoration thing. So they do take quite a bit longer than your standard candle, you know, when you're just pouring it. So to get them done efficiently, I kind of had to develop a system because beforehand I was just making candles as I would go, and it's really not efficient. So you can see here we have QR codes, labels, and all of that, and I'll show you guys how I created this whole system, so stay tuned. All right, so let's take a closer look at the actual organization here. So I just separated the candles out, and then these QR codes, I'm going to show you how to use those, how I use them, but this is how everything looks. And then this is my fragrances by location. So this is, I just came up with this row A. So in my previous studio at my house, this made more sense because row A fit all on one row, but it's okay because it still works. So let's go ahead and jump into the computer and I'll show you guys more how this works. So the first thing I want to do is go to the reports section at Crafty Base, and then I scroll all the way down to manufacturer pick list, and this is where it tells me that I have everything in stock. So just for an example, let's say we're going to make some, I don't know, wax samples. So once I click that, I found my sample wax bars, and that's in my product section. So all my products are imported. Once you connect like all of your stores to Crafty Base, it imports all of your products. So for example, this is my sample wax bars, and I attach recipes to all of my products. So this is something I have to do myself. It's not automatic with Crafty Base. So I went through on all of my products and attached the recipe, and then you can actually copy and paste recipes. So if all your candle recipes are the same, you can copy them to the newest product and then just change the fragrance oil. That's how I do it. So we're at the reports, and if I was going to make this, I could say, okay, I'm going to make 4 batches. And then Crafty Base will calculate accordingly everything I have in stock, and then, you know, see if I have enough to make it. So that's pretty much the first step for me. And then once I determine like if I have everything, I'm going to go ahead and print this, click PDF. It's going to download, and then I'm going to print out my recipe. So once I print out the recipe, I'm going to determine where the fragrance oil is so I can pull it from the shelf. So I'm going to click on the fresh brewed coffee, and then it's going to tell me right here where the fragrance is. So it's in location B3. So while my paper is printing out, I can go ahead and just look up the location for the fragrance. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a manufacturer. So this is kind of where all the magic happens. The report doesn't do anything to your inventory at all. You have to create a manufacturer for all of this to work. For everything to kind of update. So if I've determined, you know, I'm going to make these wax melt bars, I'm going to go to add manufacturer, and then in the product section, I'm going to type what I'm making. So I'm making my sample wax bars, and then you can see here it automatically pulls up the recipe for me, and then this is how many each recipe makes. So if I'm going to be making 4, I would just change that to 4, and it's going to tell me this should make 32. So you can see up here it gives me a code and everything. So this code is unique to each manufacturer, and I have to go ahead and save the manufacturer. And now once I save the manufacturer, it's going to update everything in Crafty Base. So everything that was in that little recipe is going to deduct from our material section. So that's how we keep everything flowing and automated in Crafty Base. And not only is it going to deduct our materials, but also in our product area, it's going to say, okay, now we have 32 wax melt bars in stock. So that's kind of how it all works with Crafty Base. But the next thing I like to do is generate tracking labels, and I'll show you guys how I use these tracking labels. So once you have your batch, input into Crafty Base, I'm going to go ahead and click generate tracking label, and it's going to download something. All right, so I'm going to open up and print this off. So since I have a thermal printer, I like to use my thermal printer because it doesn't use ink. And I actually am going to go to my system dialog to do this. And all right, so I actually have a preset here, so you can do presets in your, printer. So I already have this set up to print on my 3x2 thermal labels, and I like to scale it down to 50%. So I'm going to go ahead and print these off, and I'll show you how those look. Before we move on to the next step in the batching process, I wanted to thank FlexiSpot for providing me with this sit stand desk, and it's been really useful in the order packaging area. So this desk was really easy to assemble. So my husband assembled it and everything was all in one package. So even the little tools you needed were in the package also. So for the sit stand feature, you just use the little buttons here on the side, and there's no presets on this particular desk, but you just push the up and down buttons until you reach the desired height. So this is how the desk looks when everything is all assembled. I really like it. It's really sturdy. I have no problems with wobbliness or anything like that. So if you guys are interested in the standing desk, you can check the link down below and you can get $15 off of your purchase of $150 or more from FlexiSpot. So thanks again. Back to the video. Alright, so we've got our recipe printed from the printer, and now I'm going to grab the labels. So I print 2 labels and I'll tell you why. Alright, so I pulled the piece of paper off of the printer and then I wrote a few things on it. So the first thing I did was I put one label on the piece of paper, and then here's another label. So this label is going to stay with the actual products. And then this piece of paper, the things I write here are the location. So Crafty Base told us that the fragrance oil was in location B3. So this is B3, and then the fragrance oil is here. So this is what we're using. And then I write the percentage. So I'll write the percentage here. So if my husband's making, he can know the percentage of fragrance oil. And then I'll also write the quantity we expect to get out of this batch right here. These numbers here, I like to, while you're making the batch, our system is to write what you actually use in the batch. So even though this says, okay, we're using 2 pounds, maybe you only used 1.8 pounds. Maybe on the fragrance oil, maybe you used 2.2. So throughout the whole batching process, we'll keep count of everything that we're using in the manufacture. So for example, in the candles, since it's a 2-step process, you can, you'll have more numbers here. So you'll do the base first, so you'll write all those numbers. And then when you do the topping, you'll write all those numbers. If you have to make embeds, you'll write those numbers here. So this keeps track of everything that goes into that candle. All right, so for this label, if he were, let's say my husband makes only 30 sample wax bars, maybe something happened with the other 2, maybe, I don't know, but he'll write the actual quantity that was made on this paper. So this is going to stay with the wax bars. All right, so once the wax bars are all finished and he puts them on the shelf, we're going to put this here. So this is the manufacturer code. A lot of my other candles have 2. So for instance, this is the actual product code. So this has nothing to do with the manufacturer. This is just a label for the shelf, so you know what's here. So this links to the actual product, and then this links to the manufacturer. I'll kind of show you guys the difference here in a second. So once he's done, he's going to put the product on the shelf and then this here. So the reason I like to put the batch barcode on the shelf is it notifies me that there's paperwork that still needs to be filed for it. So when I see the batch label on the shelf, that means that we haven't filed the actual paperwork, the final paperwork into Crafty Base. So remember when we generated our manufacturer, it goes off of these numbers right here. So if we do any other number under the required numbers, it needs to change. So we need to change it to the actual quantity here, just in case we did something different. So that means I'm going to pull this off of the shelf and head on over to my iPad. All right, so at my iPad, I just open up the camera icon and I find the corresponding paperwork. So I make sure that the paperwork, the label on the paperwork matches the label on the shelf. and then I go ahead and scan one of them. You can scan either one. They're the same barcode. So I'll put it onto my, come on. And then you'll see the Safari open up. And this links us back to the manufacturer that we put in just a few minutes ago. So what I can do from here is I can scroll down, I can go to edit, and excuse my iPad, my son broke it. So let's say he only made 30. So we're gonna change, we're gonna change this to 30. And then we're going to change this to 1.8 pounds, 1.8, and we're going to change this to 2.2. All right, so now that the batch is correctly entered into CraftyBase, we've got the correct counts and everything. Now we can finalize the manufacturer. So you can even use the notes section to put, like, let me go back to edit. You can use the notes section to say, okay, you know, Nathan manufactured this, or Tiana, you can put whoever's name, so you can get with them if you have questions or something like that. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. So now once you changed everything within the manufacturer, it'll go back again and update. It's pretty much my system for manufacturing. And then once we're done with the fragrance oil, this one's kind of rubbed off, but once we're done with the fragrance oil and this is on the batching table, we'll say, okay, this goes in B3 because it's already written on here. And then we can put it back. So for the fragrance oils, whenever I receive a new order of oils, I'll go ahead while I'm checking it into the CraftyBase system, I'll go ahead and put the location on the fragrance oils before I put them away. All right, so I wanted to show you guys the difference between like the batching QR code and then the actual product QR code. So let's say I'm doing an inventory here and I'm counting the strawberry shortcake candles. I can just go to the actual, these labels stay on the shelf. So I will just get my iPad, scan the QR code for strawberry shortcake candles and open that up. All right, so it's gonna pull up the product here and I can easily go to the adjustments section and add an adjustment. So let's say the count is off by 2, maybe I need to add 2 to the shelf, and then I can just update it by 2, and then it's gonna go ahead and update the system. And you can easily do adjustments that way. So for inventory, you can just go through and scan the QR codes like this, and that's how you can do like inventory on the shelf. So here's all the papers to all of the things that I still need to file in CraftyBase. So that's why I like to keep the physical paperwork, because if you don't get to file it right away, you can always come back to it a week from now or whatever. Maybe you do it monthly or weekly. You can do that too and just keep them all here until you're ready to file everything. So that's kind of where I keep all of that paperwork. All right, you guys, so that's kind of a rundown of how I batch my candles and my whole little system. I know it might be a lot for some people, it might be a little extra, but I love a good system. I love like steps and just having as much organization as I possibly can. So hopefully that helped you guys out some. And yeah, so if you guys are interested in CraftyBase, you can go to the description down below and you can use my referral link to join if you'd like. Also, big shout out to FlexiSpot for gifting me this amazing desk for the order packaging station. I love packaging orders standing up, so this desk has been amazing. I love the sit stand feature, and I'm really grateful that FlexiSpot allowed me to try it out. So if you guys are interested in the standing desk, you can also go down to the description. There will be a link there where you can get $15 off your order of $150 or more. So yeah, check it out. But anyway, thank you guys for tuning into this video, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.